Hello everybody, Septa here, and today I'm going to be platinuming 007 First Light. I know I'm a little bit late to this game, but honestly I've been so hyped to play it since its release, and this platinum isn't too difficult. You really just have to beat the story, grab some collectibles, get some combat trophies, and then play the TAC-SIM mode at the end. And if you don't know what 007 is, it's basically like MI6 spies and stuff. So yeah, let's get straight into it. So we start out with our main character, James Bond, who actually starts out as a air crewman in the England Air Force, and we are in a helicopter investigating a chemical situation in Iceland. But then our helicopters end up getting blown up and taken out of the sky. And obviously a lot of people die here, and somehow James Bond survives the whole situation, which I'm very astonished with. And as I'm sure you guessed, he is the lone wolf, or just the lone survivor, as literally everyone else died either in the crash or they were killed by these mercenaries that were here. They were the ones that shot us down to try and kind of contain the secret of what was going on in this part of Iceland, which is the whole reason that they killed everyone. And soon we actually tried to contact the military, but it wouldn't work. And instead we started talking to an MI6 representative. Now we aren't told this yet, but this is Moneypenny, our kind of comms person for the entire game. And we are instructed to head up to the camp to look for MI6 survivors, as there's a lot of people dead, but there's also captives that are currently alive that will be executed soon. And we eventually put on a disguise and headed in to kind of see what was going on. And I'm gonna be honest, I never really figured out what was actually there. It looked like a satellite to me. But after looking at that, we decided to go and help out the trapped captives. None of this was too difficult, just basic stealth and kind of puzzle solving. But eventually we knocked down the big relay tower to create a distraction so that we can actually leave and get all of the prisoners out safe. And this causes way bigger of a commotion than I thought it would, as it pretty much just spreads chaos and fire throughout the entire camp, which I don't even know how some of the survivors did get killed during this. And now all we got to do is escape. Now during our escape we actually come face to face with a soldier with a gun, and he's trying to shoot us. Now we do actually end up killing him, but this is an important moment because this is James Bond's first kill, so you can kind of see him get some shell shock, some PTSD right here as he's looking into the dude's eyes. I'm gonna be real, you could just see how everything goes quiet. But then after he snaps out of it, we run to a cliff where we end up choosing to blow everything up in order to save ourselves and get our first trophy. Icebreaker for surviving the helicopter crash. And honestly, I don't know if I made the wrong choice by blowing it up, but I honestly am really enjoying this game. We next see James a month later at the MI6 headquarters, where he is trying to become an agent, or well, they reached out to him to become an agent because of his set of skills that he showed. So we talked to a lady named M, and that is her entire name, just to let you know, and she kind of ridicules us for how we performed, but since we still performed pretty well under pressure, she still wants to recruit us. So we head to Malta, where we talk to Greenway, about kind of getting trained up, as we are in, I think I might have already said this, I can't remember, but we're in Malta to do our training, and we kind of get bullied because we're the outcast from the Air Force instead of an MI6 trainee. We then meet our two fellow trainees, being Cressida and Monroe. They don't like us too much at first, but don't worry, they'll end up becoming our homies. And basically we just do a long training montage, so I'm not going to talk too much about it because this mission goes on for an hour and a half. And we do get a trophy here, just a combat trophy, whilst doing our gun training for disarming an opponent by shooting their gun. This is technically not missable because you get it right here. Sleight of hand for disarming an enemy by shooting a weapon from their hand. While also doing our training, we met Q. He's the scientist that makes all of our gadgets and spyware, and the first thing he gives us is the Q watch. The Q watch is just a watch that is our technological HUD, kind of like Iron Man's. And after that we move into our apartment with Cressida and Monroe. We don't spend too much time in here, but that is technically where James lives. And then our training was finally done, so we got our next trophy before heading out to our next mission at the nightclub. And the trophy is from Malta with love
for completing our training.
I'm not going to go too much into the nightclub portion as it's not too long. We kind of just have to meet our two various contacts. Our first one is Pike. We literally just hack his phone, meet him, and then lock him in the bathroom. Or, well, that's an option, but I decided to lock him into the supply closet. Either way, very easy mission. It's only like 20 minutes. Then we meet our other contact, and after we get the information, or I don't even know why we talked to her if I'm being completely honest, but after doing what we needed to do with her, we got into a huge fight, and Monroe actually ended up helping us because we're bros at this point in time. But yeah, the fighting in this game is really fun, so the bar fight was fun as well. And then afterwards, we all talk. By the way, this is like our graduating class of 00 students. And then after we are contacted, we get Shaken Not Stirred, our next story trophy. We're then debriefed about the mission that will change everything. This is like the actual story of the main game, being that of Agent 009, a defected agent who kind of turned on the MI6 program, and we have to go find him and track down some info. So we head over to Slovakia, where we are at a hotel, and James is on the boring duty, but then he sees this dude doing stuff that he should not be doing as the guy with the bag at the hotel. I forgot what that job's called, but he should not be doing that. Another thing that I want to mention is that there were lots of collectibles all around. That's pretty much all I will mention about collectibles until we get the trophy pops, but there are like tons of collectibles in every single mission. There's like 6 different types, I think. I'm not gonna lie, but that's all pretty boring. So back to the fun stuff. We went straight into combat, and I luckily got this trophy for having a taser enemy shoot another enemy, which was also extremely lucky, so that way I didn't get tased. And next we tracked the blonde dude down to the basement, but unfortunately it turns out that he had shot and killed Monroe, which was honestly a very sad moment for me, as I had just spent like 4 hours hating this dude to him being one of my favorite characters. And afterwards we find out that the blonde dude is not one man, but actually 2 men. They're 2 twin brothers that are like trained assassins, and this boss fight was actually pretty difficult, but it's a nice pace because later in the game the boss fights get boring in my opinion as they change the rhythm. But basically we just beat the crap out of them, but we don't end up killing them or anything because they actually well, they put a bomb, so we have to attempt to disarm the bomb, but it doesn't work, and James is somehow not killed in the explosion. I'm gonna be honest, he was right there. I do not know how he didn't die, but we do get the I expected you to die trophy because, I mean, he should have. And then also, we have to go and chase down Agent 009 at the airport where he's getting on a plane, and I get another combat trophy for just killing an enemy by shooting him in the legs, which is the He'll Live trophy. Afterwards, we sneak onto the plane, but turns out 009 isn't here either. By the way, actually, no, he was at the hotel, but he slipped away there too. We end up chucking our Q watch because it's a tracker, so we could use it to track where the plane was going before we drop out. And now our obvious next objective is to find a parachute so that James doesn't just, you know, splat on the ground, and we end up going with another soldier and landing to get yet another trophy known as Skyfall. After that, we are at Monroe and our other dead classmate's funeral. Also, Cressida is leaving because she got paralyzed during the explosion, just to let you guys know. But afterwards, we were headed to the town inside of this huge cargo boat. I forgot what it's called. I think it's Arif or something. But it's in a huge like beached cargo ship, and it's run by criminals. And after, like, if you break a rule, like this dude wasn't putting in his share and got beheaded. But we're here because we needed to win an auction in order to find out where 009's boat is, as he was actually staying at this city. And we had to make 100k to do this, but while making 100k, I decided to get another trophy, which while in a confrontation, I just used a gadget to get that next trophy. And then we were in the auction. I think it's pretty much impossible to lose, but this part was pretty fun because, sorry, it's called LF. That's the name of the town. I apologize. It's late at night. But we did win that auction and get the win, lose, or die trophy. Afterwards, we are taken to 009's boat, where we search for him in hopes to get some information, as he was friends with Greenway back in the day. However, we find that he is actually dead, and they actually tortured him before they killed him. We do get the Nobody Lives Forever trophy before we head off to a cargo ship in order to find more clues about what all happened. We do find a bit of intel, but that doesn't last for long because I'm going to spoil because it doesn't happen right here, but the evidence ends up being destroyed, which kind of sucks. But we go into a massive shootout where I actually end up getting 2 different trophies. The first one is just for shooting this dude while I was chucking a grenade for the short fuse trophy. Didn't even know he was chucking a grenade, but then after finding out that there are grenade enemies, I decided to get the other grenade trophy because this dude chucked a grenade and I quickly just disabled it for the damp swib trophy. And then after fighting our way through, we got stranded after our car flipped as we were trying to escape, and all hope pretty much seemed lost as we had very minimal ammo, as I just missed a bunch of shots. So James and Greenway kind of accept their fates until all of a sudden they all end up getting killed. Now, quick lore drop, guys. Bauma, that guy, he was going to feed us to alligators. I wasn't recording, so I did not get to show you guys that, but we ended up convincing him that we knew where his sister was, so he ended up saving us right there for the Trigger Mortis trophy. And then afterwards, we are kind of suspended because we were not supposed to go on that mission. And then as we took some time off at home, there were actually assassins in our house, the group apartment that we had. And our mission right now for this mission is literally just to kill the assassins and survive, I guess. And with this, we do actually have to crash a giant-ass crane and do some action movie stuff in order to find our assassin, and it turns out that the sniper that was there was actually one of the twins. So this is a huge rivalry, as he ends up thinking he killed us by kicking us off of the building, and we do end up surviving because we're the main character. But this was a huge issue, as now we had people gunning for our life as well as Greenway's life, which is obviously not good, but we do get the hard man to kill trophy from it. Our next step is to head over to the Webb Gala, because basically we're thinking that Damien and his father, Sir Nicholas Webb, are going to be targeted by these assassins next. And I'm not going to talk too much about this mission, as a lot of the kind of missions focused around the Webb family are super boring. But basically the whole gist of this mission is just that we're trying to find the assassins and stop them from assassinating the Webbs, or killing anyone for that matter. But we end up going to the basement where we are found by that same assassin from earlier, where we get to have a boss fight. Now, I'm not going to talk too much about boss fights after this, because this is pretty much the formula that the rest are going to go for. You basically have to attack them with the environment like you would in Metal Gear Solid, and then just keep doing that over and over and over again. Pretty boring compared to the fistfight boss fights that we had earlier on in the game. But after he tries to kill us and his gun clicks, we end up going into a struggle where James gets almost impaled on the trident, and he does the old switcheroo on him and impales him on the trident for a very deserving kill, as he killed Monroe. I had a lot of rage going into this mission to slime him out. After he dies, we pick up his earpiece and find out that they weren't trying to kill the Webb family, they work for the Webb family, and we also get the You Only Live Twice trophy. But basically this means that the Webbs were behind all the kills and everything that this like mercenary group has been going. And then Damien actually spikes our drink, and I didn't mention her earlier, but Isola, another French agent who is kind of on the same mission as we are, just for another organization, he captures both of us and starts torturing us. But we do end up breaking out, and after we do, we go on to combat. And this is where I have to say my hard drive filled up, so I lost about 15 minutes of gameplay because I did not notice, and I got a combat trophy. Basically, all you have to do is use the Q watch and then disarm an enemy with a laser. It's not too big of a deal because the trophy is like super easy to do, but I did not actually get footage of the trophy popping, so that is my apologies, and I will lose some footage like I did before. But back to the story. We escaped in a garbage truck, which in my opinion is freaking sick, and it's just, I mean, I get it, it's based on an action movie, but like, it's just so cool. And eventually we pull up to Greenway, where he almost shoots us, but then once he realizes us, he obviously doesn't attack. And even though he's got one arm, he killed all of his assassins, which was honestly pretty badass. And then afterwards, we did get the Agent Under Fire trophy, which was just for escaping in that garbage truck. Our next mission was to break inside of the Webb kind of, I don't know if it was the headquarters, but inside of the Webb building, because we were trying to clear out their machine. Basically, they were doing a data like deletion so that they could keep their identities and all their crimes hidden. Now basically our main goal of this mission was just to kind of uncover the information in the perch, but I got a combat trophy just for smashing this guy into a fire extinguisher for the fire starter trophy. But basically we went into Nicholas Webb's penthouse for the all-time high trophy, and basically we were just trying to get any information we can about what info was about Thea. Basically Thea is an AI, and they were trying to figure out what information they had on MI6, but we're interrupted when Damien and Sir Nicholas Webb infiltrate, and we find out some stuff for the next mission about how Damien is going to go kill people in Vietnam. But back to this mission, we were in the perch, and we found that they actually kill and basically sabotage stuff to make it seem like Thea is a super advanced AI that's always right. And then Sir Nicholas finds us and kind of goes on a rant about how what he's doing is right, which is obviously complete BS. And then his guards end up shooting at us before we escape into a helicopter. A very eventful mission with tons of different puzzles and action and all sorts of stuff, because this game does have a variety of all that. And then we do get our next story trophy, which is called No Time to Die, and the trophy description is literally just to escape by helicopter. Our next mission is in Vietnam, where our goal is to protect the 3 potential clients who are going to be killed allegedly by Damien. Basically, these are his 3 potential targets that we want to kind of protect, so we put like these things that control their vitals on them. And we find out that a woman that we're trying to protect named Teresa, and a man we're trying to protect known as, I forgot his name, but it's something White. Ellis White. Basically they are together and their heart rates are spiking, and we find a bunch of Damien's men there, so we know that he's responsible. We go to save Ellis first, but he thinks that I'm one of the bad guys, so we have to knock him out, which is honestly kind of funny because he's like the drunk kind of rich party boy, kind of like Tony Stark in a way, just not as good for the world. And next we go to save Teresa, and we find the other twin. Now this fight is once again more what I like, where you just have fist fights, because fist fights in this game is so fun. But we end up setting him on fire before we save Teresa, and after she's safe, he literally comes back to fight us even though he's on fire. I mean, this part of the boss fight was actually sick. Now we do end up taking him out, but spoiler warning, the shack blows up. I'm sure there was chemicals or something, but it blows up and ends up killing the other twin, and somehow James makes it out alive. However, he does actually get captured, but we get the Double or Die trophy just for saving Teresa. And then we are trapped by Damien, where he plans to kill us. And Damien is kind of the like main antagonist, both of the webs are, but after he reveals himself in his mask, he starts this huge saw that's supposed to just cut us in half. Super kind of cartoony, I guess, is the only word I really know for how to describe it. And right as he's about to kill us, there's just random gunfire that happens, and for some reason his idiotic ass stops the machine when he hears the gunshots. Literally, if he would have just shot us or kept the machine going, he might have actually been able to make it out alive. But this sniper is none other than Greenway, who got sent to our location in order to help us, and we're still handcuffed at this point in time, so the sort of combat we have is to open up the Q menu and then mark different targets. I found this to be extremely fun, to just have him go and snipe all these people. This mission was one of my favorites by far, and afterwards we head up to a dump truck because Greenway ends up getting into trouble once all the people find where he's hiding. And this dump truck part was also fun. I love driving vehicles in this game, as it's not too difficult and overall just a fun time. However, Greenway ends up protecting us and taking a bullet. Now at the time he says it's just a graze, but keep that bullet wound in mind for later. Now back to the main mission. We just had to fight through until we found Damien once again. We got into the boss fight. Now this is like the first Twins boss fight where we have to use the environment to kill him. Way less boring than a fist fight, but he's super strong because he has the serum that makes him like stronger and faster. But when he tries to use it again, by the way, this is at the end of the boss fight, James decides that instead of poking it into his neck, we should poke it into his eye for better results. But instead of pinning peptides, he ends up getting his eye ripped out by the same syringe. And honestly, this was pretty gross for a T-rated game. But he does fall before James aura farms before killing him. Honestly, did not know James had that dog in him. But after this mission, I know he definitely does. Top 5 missions of all time, by the way. Afterwards, James sits down next to Greenway and talks to him for a while, and at the end of their conversation, James looks over and notices that Greenway has unfortunately passed away. Really sad death. Greenway was very mean at the start, but he turned into like my second favorite character by the end. And then after that, we get the You Know My Name trophy, a interrupter to our sad time. And then after Damien's dead, Sir Nicholas Webb leaks a bunch of MI6 data, which is obviously not good, and they kind of suspend all of MI6 at this point. So James decides that he has to go get his own Q watch, his own gadgets, and his own gun so that he can kind of defect from MI6 and still go stop the Webbs. Stop their corporation and their robots and stuff, because they also make robots, by the way, but he wants to go and stop them. So he defects as a MI6 agent, and we get the solo trophy for just leaving MI6 as a rogue agent. And then we meet up with the girl from earlier, as I said. She also wants to take down the Webbs, and she tells us that her parents were killed trying to take down the Webbs, which is kind of her motivation for wanting to kill Sir Nicholas Webb. And afterwards, we sneak to the base that they have in Antarctica, and we get our last of our first collectible being the legacy items. So we get the A Legacy of Spycraft trophy. I'm not going to talk too much more about collectibles as we get a lot in a little bit, but this mission is also pretty boring as it's really long, and all you kind of do is explore the facility, kill a lot of people, sneak around a lot, do some puzzles, just boring stuff to me that I wouldn't want to see if I was a viewer. Now eventually the guy named Finch, who is like the security director, ends up holding James at gunpoint before putting the whole place on lockdown, which is of huge nuisance because now things are going to be 10 times harder for us until the agent knocks him out. Now once we made it to the new AI machine, which is supposed to be way better than the other one, we end up getting held at gunpoint once again, this time by Sir Nicholas Webb. But after hearing a gunshot, it turns out that Sir Nicholas actually ends up getting shot he ends up just dying right here, and he has a thing on his wrist that basically means that all the MI6 data gets leaked when he dies. And Teresa took the AI, so now oh my gosh, it's not Teresa, but she took all the AI, and we had to chase her throughout the facility. And just to let you guys know, this mission was sick, as we had a boat chase and everything, and then eventually we held her at gunpoint, and we end up shooting the AI, just completely destroying it. Her name's Isola, by the way. I can't believe I missed that. As I said, it's late at night when I'm doing this voiceover. But her contact ends up fleeing on her, so we have to turn ourselves in order to get out of Antarctica. And we do end up getting the writing is on the wall trophy. Also, I apologize because the audio is delayed for the rest of the platinum. And now M tells us, because we're taken prisoner, that she can't work with us officially, but we end up getting attacked by the Webb's men once again. The facility gets attacked by Webb's men, so it's up to us. We're the only person that can take these guards down, so even though we're still technically a criminal, we do make it. Also, here's a bunch of collectible trophies for all the postcards. This one's for all the files. I'm just speedrunning these because they're really the same, and for all the playing cards. And now it is time for more story, because it turns out Damien is not actually dead. Who could have guessed it? I'm gonna be honest, I did not guess it when I played. I'm not gonna lie. But he does end up killing Moneypenny. I didn't want to show it. And then he escapes with Thea, which is in the MI6 headquarters. We head to QLab to get some more technology, and we end up getting our last collectible trophy for collecting all mementos, and then our trophy for finding all collectibles. Now, just to let you know, we found the keys for a weaponized car, which is essentially this just super OP car with machine guns, missiles, the whole shebang. Honestly, one of the coolest parts of the game was that we did this. And then afterwards, Damien tries to kill us, but then James kind of sacrifices himself in order to drown both of them in the water beneath the MI6 headquarters. But then Isola ends up saving us, or Isola ends up saving us before she kind of dips out. Her and Bond had a love thing kind of going on. I don't really know. It was pretty confusing. But she does leave with Thea and kind of leaves James alive, but leaves him alone, where we get the Fort King and Country trophy for beating the main story. And then in the post-game scene, we are in the graveyard next to John Greenway's grave, where we officially become Agent 007. And they actually teased another game during this ending, which I'm super hyped for, so you guys better bet I'll get the platinum on that when it comes out. But now time for the post-game grind. We had to do the tax sims, which are combat simulations. I started to start out with the escalations, which are just training, and for the first one we get a change of pace. We had to do 3 tiers of this, not too difficult at all. Literally just takes some time. Another thing I'd like to say is we do have one more combat trophy, which I will get during the operation that we have to do. The trophy I have for combat is for throwing an enemy off the ledge. Everyone would be saying it's easy, but it took me 30 minutes. And then after completing a tier 3 escalation, we do get another trophy. As I said, the tax sim's honestly pretty fun, not too difficult whatsoever, and then we get the readiness is all for beating a tier 3 escalation. And then here is where I get the last combat trophy. I shot a stun grenade out this dude's hand and then tackled him right here on the garden party level and got the soft landing trophy. And then right after that, I got the what if trophy for just finishing that mission that I was in, and the what if trophy is just for completing one operation. Now for the next part, I just was playing more missions to level up to tier 3. Not hard at all, but this is our last trophy before the platinum. It sucks that the audio is delayed, but it kind of is just delayed. It's a really buggy trophy, the PSN Profiles guide said, but here is that. And so enjoy. Our last trophy for getting clearance level 3, keep moving forward, and then the next trophy that we're going to be getting is the platinum trophy. And it came at a bit of an awkward time, I'm not going to lie, but here is the platinum pop. And the name's Bond. James Bond for the platinum on 007 First Light. This game was so fun, and it's kind of sad that it's come to an end, but this platinum took me like 14 hours and it's supposed to take 20, so I keep beating all these platinums early. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, turn on post notifications, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.